This video is brought to you by Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket has just released a brand new YJack Mano dual port manometer wireless probe that goes with all of your other YJack probes. Find out more at yellowjacket.com.
You got to have a toughness to you. I think that's where the fourth point comes in, which is metal.
Man, that's perfect. That's exactly
not sheet metal.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I said metal. I don't know. Galvanized?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? 26? No.
Yeah, it's not a term we use much.
No, it's not. It's METTLE. Metal.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been bad if I misspelled that here on the show because I don't use that term very often. I recognized it because it's somewhat of, I won't say antiquated, but people don't really use it in modern times.
Yeah.
So
you notice that what we're talking about, there's nothing new here. Anything that we're talking about, it's all old stuff. It's like, man, you guys are a bunch of old farts talking about this stuff. It's because the more things change, we keep going back to those foundational principles.
Yeah.
That, take us to where we need to go. And with metal, an easier way to think about metal is maybe toughness, grit, being able to stick with something or persevere. But metal's a word we don't talk about much. There's a strength under control when you've got metal.
Well, I like that. Strength under control.
Yeah.
That's a real good thing. Yeah. The ability to be patient and strong in any circumstance, instead of lashing out, instead of losing your cool. I like that. The meek shall inherit the earth is the men that can use swords but keep them sheathed will inherit the earth, sort of thing.
Yep.
I think that's a great point. I don't know how you came up with metal. I don't know that you walk around using words from the 1920s.
I don't even remember. Some stuff just pops up. I don't. And it may have been. I probably did a synonym search or something. Who knows? But it was like somebody's metal there because it applies perfectly to what we do unless you're in duckboard and flex country. But metal is. I was like, we get it. Rock and roll, heavy metal, we get it. Bang your head, that kind of stuff.
So to have metal, to have this fortitude, I'm imagining, not just physical rigor, mental rigor, and then if you're a lead installer, and it's not one of the things that I had kind of noted here, that you have to deal with things that are, out of the scope of the job. You have to deal with inspectors. You have to deal with the plumber who ran the plumbing pipe in front of the crawl space opening, like that was ever a good idea, yet happens all the time for some reason. I don't know why that is. But, stuff like that, you lay out a duct system, you take your time, you have a notepad, although it's, a piece of cardboard or whatever it is, and you've drawn it out, you have the numbers, you have the sizes, you have which way the reducers are going, you have what kind of takeoffs you're using, and by gosh, the plumber has put a pipe in like 4 different places. So, what does it take to deal with that? That's what I'm saying.
When you think about situations like that, you got 2 choices. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can definitely control how you respond to it. I'm ashamed to say, but there were times that plumbing pipes were in the way, and my response was with the reciprocating saw. And it usually didn't turn out well when that happened.
Because, part of us is like, yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what we do, we tend to tell ourselves stories, and we become either victims or, it's like, this guy's out to get me. This plumber, he knew I was going to put that duct there. The truth is, he didn't even think about it. He was just trying to get his job done just like we are. Some of it is staging, when we get in on the job. But then other times, it's, just being smart enough to know, hey, let's look for a different way to do this. It might not be ideal, but let's see what we can do. And when you talk about this fortitude and this metal, it's really it's a mentality for how you're going to approach these things and making almost a pact with yourself that I'm not going to blow up and lose it over something that really in the big scheme of things doesn't make that big of a difference. And I have seen people, a fellow contractor in Frankfurt, I watched this guy blow up on a customer on his cell phone, actually slammed it into the side of his van, and his driver's side door was open, and then he threw it and hit the passenger side door in his van. And every other word out of his mouth was a cuss word. This guy just blew up. I don't know what happened, but man, he flipped. And that was a choice.
Yeah. You know what? That story reminds me of something. I remember watching my father on the phone, and my father was, I respected him a great deal. I respect him ongoing a great deal for his patience, his intelligence, and the way he calmly dealt with 99% of things. But there are situations that I recognize that he was very poor in. And there were some of these interactions where obviously he felt like he was in the right and the customer was being unreasonable. But that's not a green light to let every bit of anger you have in your body out. You still have to deal with it some way. You still have to work it out. And I've seen him blow up. I've seen him slam a rotary phone. It's been a while. Into the desk. True story. Into the desk and just lose his temper. And I remember thinking at the time, man, I'm with Dad. I think this is stupid. But looking back, it's like, it doesn't matter what happened there. You have to deal with it no matter what. That's the hard part. Yeah.
It is.
Still learning that.
When you look at this too, it's dealing with those daily situations, having to get, like we talked earlier about getting in that muddy crawl space. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can either go, I got to get this done and just dive in and get it done, or you can complain and whine about it all day. It's, that is a decision. And if you've got that mettle and that toughness to you, you take things for what they are and you get it done. You get the job done instead of whining about it.
Yeah. If you got to be there all day,
nobody wants to hear us whining. I mean, that was I forget who it was that said this to me, but I was griping about something. I think it's probably up on a roof. And they're like, stop your whining, weenie. And it always stuck with me. Stop your whining, weenie. So don't be a whining weenie.
What did you say, sir? No. How dare you?
It's just, I was like, yeah.
And then I threw him off the roof, and I didn't hear it anymore.